Now, we also know, sort of complicating what exactly is going on here, Newsom's former chief of staff was indicted back in November 2025 on federal charges alleging a scheme to steal campaign money from the former U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services. That all stemmed from time before she worked for Newsom. Now, she pleaded guilty to 3 of those charges last month. But as of now, it appears, based on our reporting, that there are investigations into the governor's associates, but a source telling us he is not directly being investigated. But Casey, as you and I know, after over a decade of covering these politically related investigations, certainly investigators start with associates and sometimes work towards another target. So this is still very young in terms of our reporting. We continue to work sources, really hash out exactly who has been contacted and when.
All right, Paula Reed for us with that report. Paula, thank you very much. All right, my panel's here in the arena. CNN legal analyst, former federal prosecutor Elliot Williams, CNN political commentator, host of the Off the Cup podcast, SE Cup, former communications director in the Biden White House. That's not right. CNN chief political analyst David Axelrod.
Decidedly not right.
Republican Congressman and Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry. That's what I get for just reading the teleprompter.
Yes.
Dave, of course, was the chief architect of Barack Obama's campaigns, among other esteemed accomplishments in the political arena. And so, David, let me start with you on this. I want to stipulate that we here at CNN are going with Paula's reporting right now. Her reporting is that this investigation is into people around the governor, including his wife. Now, Newsom has said this is an investigation into me, and we'll, of course, leave open that our reporting may uncover new things. But this obviously is part of the political environment in which we are living, and Newsom decided to do what he did, put out this video basically talking directly to voters, directly to Americans, trying to take on the president. How do you view this particular point in our unfolding political drama?
Yeah, I saw in your prompters, let's go in the arena, and it sounded like we were in the arena already with Newsom and the president. Look, first of all, I don't know what's going on. Maybe Elliot can discern all of this.
I don't know what's going on either.
I don't know what's going on. I sold my, relative to the president and the Justice Department, they'll never do that stock a long time ago. And he's made it clear that he will go after his political enemies. That said, there's no doubt that this is a fight that's profitable potentially for Gavin Newsom. I'd be enraged if they went after my wife, if I were in politics, and I thought that it was politically motivated. But there's also political profit in this. I mean, he rose to the top of the candidates by fighting with Trump, and he has signaled that he will be the biggest, baddest, trolling pugilist there is in the Democratic Party, and this just renews all of that. So 2 things can be true. He can be enraged, and it could be outrageous, but there's also profit in it.
Political upside. Yeah. Congressman, what do you think?
There's politics and politics, right? I mean, so look, this is important if true, right? And I think we can say that about much of what happens in our media cycle each week, right? Important if true. We don't know that it's true. We don't know the nature of it, but we do know the motivation here. He is a candidate. This raises his profile. He's certainly in the media cycle. He will certainly be raising money, or has already probably sent out a fundraising email about this. However, here in D.C., the only way we're going to be able to ascertain any more facts about this is with the Deputy Attorney General going for the nomination and has been nominated to be Attorney General. And so Blanche will be before the U.S. Senate in the month of July on a 12 to 10 panel where one retiring, one defeated Republican senators. So you have 2 Republican senators that hold the sway here. They will certainly have questions about this, and they will certainly ascertain the set of facts, not on behalf of presidential candidate Newsom, but on behalf of a number of questions that they have for this administration.
Yeah, how about like the Constitution and the rule of law? Maybe they'll ask questions on that behalf.
SE Cup, 2 things can be true at the same time, right? That we need to have a system that holds people who are in public office who act improperly accountable.
Sure.
Right? We absolutely need to have that. It can also be true that if the system is used in a way that does not live up to the ideals of impartiality and nonpartisan acting, it's going to discourage good people from getting into the ring.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen. We know that that's happened. But I think if there's like which you all were alluding to, if there's a pie, I think the percentage that Gavin Newsom is enraged is like 10%. The rest is like really excited. Like, this is exactly what Gavin Newsom wants. It's why he got dressed up, put on a tie, and stood behind the seal of the state of California and posted this very dramatic press conference, because he wants to be Trump's main foil. That is good for business. And what Trump doesn't seem to realize yet is it's bad for Trump. I'll remind people that James Tallarico was polling double digits behind Jasmine Crockett in Texas before Trump pointed at him and said, that interview you did with Stephen Colbert, that's a big problem, and I'm coming for you. Well, that was great for James Tallarico and for business. Same Mark Kelly. When Trump pointed at Mark Kelly and attacked him for that video where he was encouraging servicemen and women not to follow illegal orders. Well, Mark Kelly just became a presidential nominee because of that. So he has a habit of making these guys, turning them into resistance heroes. And Gavin Newsom has been reaping the benefits of that, and I am sure is, looking forward to this fight.
Elliot Williams, what does it say to you? The reporting here is that this came out of California, and that's obviously not the same as Main Justice here in Washington. Can you help us understand the difference and what that might mean?
Yeah. So each, there's 90, I believe, 3 U.S. attorneys' offices around the country. They are, in many respects, their own little worlds. What's interesting is I thought it was going to be coming